Diary. Good evening. It is in fact January 2024, and tonight we are looking at the upgrade of this very old Apple Macbook Pro. It's from, as the About book says, it's a Macbook Pro 13-inch mid 2012. So this laptop is an amazing 12 years old or thereabouts, and we're just going to discuss what we're doing and why we're doing it. So it's currently running macOS Catalina, which is 10.15.7, and I think we can upgrade it and make it go faster. Now the owner has given me a budget, and the budget's about 100 GBP, £100, British pounds. And in front of you we see the upgrades that we're going to use. Now this Mac dates back to 2012, in the day when MacBooks weren't totally unrepairable by Joe Public. These days, of course, everything is well locked up and soldered on and impossible to upgrade, and Apple have done this on purpose. Not because it makes it unreliable, but just because it makes you buy new hardware, which is very regrettable. Anyway, back to the facts of the situation, rather than my sentiment, which is that, can we upgrade this laptop? Yes, we can. Now, the laptop has an Intel processor, and surprisingly, considering today's Apple products, some usable serviceable components. Now, it's got a spinning hard drive with a SATA interface, so we should just be able to put this SSD in and make it read that disk so much faster. Now it's been already upgraded to 8 gigabytes of memory, and under the Intel processor, which is a dual core Intel i5. If you look at that on the Intel Ask website, you'll find that the processor theoretically can support 32 gigabytes of memory. But looking around the forums, many people say, or everyone says, that the hardware design can only support 16 gigabytes of memory. Anything more would require a change to the Apple firmware, which obviously no one has, in the many years that this laptop's been around, been able to provide. So it looks like 16 gigs is the maximum, and that's what I have here. Now there's a whole variety of different memory SODIMMs, but I believe this is the right spec. In other words, this is a DDR3L, not DDR3. Its speed is 1600 and the voltage is 1.35, and it's a CL11 speed component. So that ought to slot in as well. So just doing those two things might give us a speed boost. Now, as you can see, so a quick zoom in, super zoom in, you'll see that we're backing up to a child machine disk here, and I'm going to go through the plan. So it says 52 minutes, it's been actually 22 hours, then it dropped to 14 hours, and now it's magically 52 minutes, which I completely do not believe. Like I say, literally a few minutes ago it was 7 hours. So I'm going to go with the 7 hours and leave it backing up overnight. But whilst I'm doing that, I'm going to show you the plan, and here is the upgrade plan. So let's see if we can zoom out a bit there. So in terrible handwriting that I'm sure looks nothing like my handwriting, it was done in a rush from my colleague, we're going to back up the system. So we're using Time Machine to back up the system via the USB interface. You can't see that, but I'm pointing to the USB 2, I presume, interface, because it's backing up at the speed of a dog. We're already on Catalina 10.15.7. We've then got to open up the machine, take out the existing spinning hard drive and fit the crucial MX500 disk, swap out the memory from 8 gigabytes to 16, put the back cover on, reboot the system, check that it can reboot, and then the plan is to restore from the Time Machine backup. Now that might not work. I'm hoping it will work. And if we do all of that successfully, then we'll have a system back in the state that we got it, but it'll have a much faster disk and more memory. So it should be already a transformed system. At that point, if all goes well, we're going to install OCLP, Open Core Legacy Patcher, and that will allow us to make an installable key. And we're going to not go with the latest operating system, Sonoma. We're going to go with Ventura. I think that's a more conservative approach. There's not too much difference. This is a very old system anyway. If we get it up to Ventura, I think we're laughing. So we're going to make a Ventura USB key, and then we're going to use OCLP, Open Core Legacy Patcher, to upgrade from the current system to Ventura, at which point we should have an upgraded Ventura machine. So that's the theory. There's going to be more videos as to our progress along the way. I'll keep you posted. Okay, Darius, so the plan is we're going to open up the MacBook Pro and replace some components. On this 2012 model, Apple had not yet perfected the use of glue or special screws, so I'm using kind of watchmaker's screwdrivers, and I'm going to put the screws actually in a certain place, in a certain order, in case they are of different lengths. All the same length so far. I don't see that. Oh no, it's a big long one. Logically, these will be long screws, otherwise something wrong with this universe. Oh no, a short one. That doesn't make any sense. Right, okay, so that's a short screw. Oh, so we've got short, long, 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 and all the rest are short. Well, fancy that. Oh, I've got some gadgets to take things off, but I don't need it. I just need to unscrew it. There we go. So, this is a 2012 MacBook A1278. A1278. Fantastically upgradable by comparison to modern systems. Okay, so for the memory, there's not going to be any magic if I've got the parts correct. So this is already third-party memory. It says 4 GB DDR3L1600, and we're replacing it with 8 GB DDR3L1600. So I'm as sure can be that this is going to work. Right, so that's coming out. That's coming out. Or not, as the case may be. Doesn't happen in the movies. It's going to go in. It's a bit of a tight squeeze actually, but at least it's replaceable. Don't sock it in, they just sort of sit in. Okay. Right, we're going to reboot and just check that all is well. Why not? Okay, one step at a time. I put the 16 gigs of memory in, rebooted, and it now says 16 gigabytes of memory. That's gone well. The next thing to do is, with the machine obviously shut down, we're going to take these 4 screws out. According to Mr. Google, that's what I need to do. Give that a whirl. What do you reckon? Screws all the same size? Oh, it's long. Oh. Ah, okay, so it doesn't, so it comes out with it. Okay, sound. Okay, that's that bit. And heights. Actually, this is a bit thicker than this, believe it or not. I didn't think that was going to be the case. Anyway, I've got to get these little lugs out and put them in here. Okay, so we're now going to change Mr. Screws. So I've used a Leatherman to get these. I don't have a hex key small enough, so apologies, professional repairmen. So back with the ribbon cable. Ooh, look the way around you are. Ooh. Okay, hang on in there, mister. Okay. So what's the age-old electronics repair mantra? Don't put all the screws back till you know it's working. So just going to put the case back. And we'll put the back panel screws back later. Okay, so we're on to the next step. I've just plugged in the bootable Catalina USB key. I've plugged in the Time Machine backup, which is on a 5 terabyte disk. I've already attempted to restore from Time Machine backup, and whilst it found the backup, it didn't find the internal SSD which I put in. So I suspect I have to format it first. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go into Disk Utility. We're going to do Continue. It should find the 500 gigabyte SSD, which is up here. We're going to do Erase. And we're going to call it short. And we're going to give it an old-fashioned macOS journaled format with a GUI partition map. I suspect it's going to have to make this an APFS volume, but I don't know if it can start from that, so we'll just try that first. Done that. So then we're going to do Restore from Time Machine Backup. And we're going to say Continue. Looking at the external hard drive, that's called blank. And it contains several backups. So I'm going to pick the latest, which is 6 o'clock, 21st of January. Destination, we'll call it Nigel. Great. And restore, Nigel will be erased. And preparing to restore. Well, this is going quite well, said optimistically. Disk light is flashing on the external Time Machine backup, showing activity. This may take 5 hours and 45 minutes. Okay, we will be back. Derek, okay, so this is the continuation of the video. I'm going to be talking to the WordPress article that I'm writing. Let's continue. So we've got up to about step 6 or 7. So we've done the binding of components. We've done the backup of the original system to an spare external hard drive. We've created a bootable USB stick on a different MacBook, spare MacBook which I have lying about. We've disassembled the MacBook, we've changed the components, and we've restored the backup from the time machine. So we're now at a point where we're going to test the restored machine. So what we've done is we've booted that restored machine, and I'm happy to say it boots absolutely fine. It's already quite a lot nippier than it was before, but we're still running the old version of macOS Catalina. So the next step is to install OpenCore Legacy Patcher. You have a link here to go to the GitHub. We download the package. It's a zip file which you then unzip. I think it's 600 megabytes before the unzipping. You then run OpenCore Legacy Patcher. So this is being run on the old MacBook with the upgraded components, which is now just like it was before we upgraded, but it's on a cloned hard drive, if you like, which is with the new SSD. So you need to click on the build and install OpenCore. After it's been built, it asks you whether you want to install it to the disk, and it means the hard drive that the SSD you've just installed. Obviously, we're going to say yes to that. You'll see that it comes up with the disk name, which is the Crucial 500MX, which is the SSD that we bought. Maybe you're not going to everyone's going to be watching you now, hey, sweetie, good cow. Okay, so we're now going to install it onto the particular partition. So this is an EFI bootloader, and we're going to reboot. Now we're going to use that program to make a bootable Ventura USB key. You could use the same USB key used before, but I'm just going to use a new one in case I have to backtrack. So I use a separate USB key, and I'm going to create a Mac OS installer. Now, pictures out of Kaduda. We're going to download the Mac OS installer first. Then it gives us a choice. Now, I'm sticking with Ventura, which is kind of last year's OS, and the reason is that initially OpenCore Legacy Patcher OCLP didn't support Sonoma, and there were various issues. I'm still saying to do that, so I'm saying do not install Sonoma. So I downloaded Ventura. That did take quite a long time because it's downloading it on this old MacBook, and it could only achieve 11 megabytes per second, which in our house is slow. Oh, do you know what? Professional that I am, I haven't put the light on. Alexa, turn on face. What an amateur. That's so much better, isn't it? Like something from Hammer House of Horror. Okay, so we're downloading macOS on the to-be fully upgraded MacBook from 2012. It then validates it. Again, this is excruciatingly slow when you're doing it, and I was like, come on. Extracts it, creates it, and then I've got the install it. I've got a new SSD. I've got a new USB stick installed, different size to the other one, so I can definitely show it it's a different one. So I plugged in a new USB stick of 30 gigabytes, and now OCLP is going to try and write the bootable macOS Ventura to that USB stick. Again, this seems to take a long time. Okay, so it's writing, more writing, and then what? Validating. Oh, it took forever. So eventually we got to the point now where on the second USB stick in the in this to be upgraded system, it's created a Mac OS Ventura install USB. And then also actually asked me whether I wanted to install OCLP to that USB stick, and I don't know what it was doing there, so I said no to that. So then I shut down the system, okay, and now we've got the situation where the USB key is in the MacBook Pro, and we reboot, and we hold down the Alt key, and we should get a menu like this. Now, if you don't touch anything, it goes into the EFI boot, which is the OCLP program. And then it would then boot the OS, which is currently Catalina. You must not click on this icon here, install macOS Ventura. This is the MacBook saying, I can see a USB key in the drive, and it would appear to be macOS Ventura, which is fair enough, but macOS Ventura doesn't run natively on this MacBook. That's the whole point. This MacBook can only run Catalina without OCLP. So you must always go through the EFI boot process, even if you're doing the installation or an upgrade. And likewise, you wouldn't want to click on here. So you must always go through this EFI bootloader, which is OCLP. Is that clear? So we select EFI boot, and then inside EFI boot, you'll see there's an install Mac OS Ventura. You've got to get to that quite quickly because otherwise the default is to go to the hard drive. And you pretty much, from here, it's pretty much plain sailing. So you click on this, and then it installs Mac OS Ventura with several reboots. I've got any pictures? Yeah, so we go to this, so we click on this. Then then it goes to this install macOS Ventura screen, and then we have the standard macOS install. Telling it what drive to put it onto, the SSD. It says it was 45 minutes. It felt like about 450 minutes as it was doing it. And we're not quite done yet. So when it's finished, you'll be able to log in to your MacBook Pro, and we are at the level of Ventura. You can see by this backdrop. Okay. It then OCLP is automatically started, and it recognizes the fact that it needs to patch the operating system so it's fully compatible and working. And this is where I had a problem. You may not, if you're doing a relatively clean install of a system, you may not have this problem, but I'm just going to show you what problem I had so you can work around any problems you might have. So the root patching is whereby it adds some kernel drivers, replacement kernel drivers, into the operating system, and it looks at what other drivers should be also incorporated into the operating system, and it found an error. It found something that didn't have a resolution. And in my case, it was a Symantec. Can I read that? Can we see that? More detail. It's patching. So I've got one that's a better resolution, so I can read it. So it did a patching and asked me to reboot, and when it rebooted it said it wanted it to do more patching. And then it came up with an error saying, reason for patch failure 71, unable to resolve dependencies, com.semantic.ips.kext names a dependency called which was not found, unable to resolve. And it seems that the original the original user had at one time an antivirus, a Symantec antivirus program here. And hang on, cat demands attention. Baby, listen, I'm making a video. Go on there. So the original owner had a Symantec antivirus program, which they'd subsequently deleted, but still the remnants of that were in the operating system. I actually installed another web-based antivirus program, which I deleted before I started making this video. But that wasn't the point. So there's some Symantec stuff kicking about. So I did a lot of Googling, and found out there's a way to delete that program. Here's the root patching. So I found you can run you click on this link, you'll get to a script which is a root level script, and that removes this extra code from the paths that you can see. A massive space there. What's going on? Right, I'm editing it on the fly because that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to make an article for you all to read. So that script ran, and then it deleted the semantic stuff, and then I was able to complete the root patching, and then I rebooted, and now we have a absolutely fully working MacBook Pro 2012. Unlike the iMac I upgraded the other day, this has graphics metal support on the laptop, meaning that everything works. If I go into Apple Maps, it works. If I go into Find My, it works, because the driver for the graphics supports metal. And that means to say that absolutely everything works. So if I wanted to use this, sorry, cat is trying to eat something. Like, baby, stop it. So I'm going to finish quickly because the cat needs attention, but basically, after this root patching has worked, you have a fully working system. You just need to make sure you log into your Apple ID, of course, again, re-log into your Apple ID, so that everything is dandy. Okay, Diary, that's it. We have a fully working MacBook Pro 2012. It's been upgraded for the price of £100 and a bit of effort. Thanks for watching.